Everyone is here on this hot day. I'd like to encourage everyone to speak loudly today because of the air conditioner. We don't want to turn it off, right? That would really be terrible. Sometimes we do turn it off in meetings, and I think today is probably not the day for that. So with that, we will jump in to reviewing agenda items. The first item on the agenda, we have the tabled resolution. Would we like, under old business, would we like to talk about what the intention is today on what you plan to vote on regarding Medicare Part B? Because we have a couple different resolutions out there.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is, Irene, I'm gonna propose that we let the tabled motion die.
Yeah.
I'm gonna propose that we, Irene, you're gonna propose
Right.
that we remove the resolution that's in the agenda, correct?
Correct.
And that we agree that we will vote on this consent resolution this evening.
Okay.
Okay?
So we'll review this topic when we get to the consent resolutions. The first resolution is adopting minutes from the last meeting. Any concerns with that? Thank you, Stephanie. The next one is resolution amending for opioid settlement by Alderwoman Collins. This is just another payment in the opioid settlement that we were a party to.
Do you want to talk about that?
Richie?
We got some opioid settlement funds that we use for training, crisis intervention, team training, and that is remaining now. So what was left after we paid instructors and paid for the overtime and paid for backfill for the officers.
Okay. So the remaining amount is being transferred into the overtime fund, which would be increased due to training and other things.
We use regular funds for the training.
Right.
This money should have been done months ago, but just for the budget.
So we're just straightening out the account.
Correct.
Any questions on that? Great. The next one, resolution to renew NYMIR insurance agreement with Amsterdam, which is the property damage and liability. Alderman Marticello?
This is our property and casualty insurance. It's by New York State Municipal Insurance, property and casualty. This is our property and damage. And this year, it's gone up to $635,000. But this is a one-year contract because sometimes we are going to insurance ourselves without a business. So we're going to have a one-year contract with this company. And we'll see next year during the budget how much it's going to cost us. So it's only a one-year deal. And this money's already been budgeted in our budget this year.
I believe we budgeted $650,000.
$650 we budget.
They had told us that to expect an insurance, a premium increase of about 100. The actual increase came in about 85.
I do want to mention, even though the language here is amount not to exceed, that's as of the renewal date, but there are a lot of reasons throughout the year why, we add vehicles, trade in vehicles. I mean, things happen that, you get additional bills throughout the year and our coverage could end up going up a little bit more than that.
As everybody knows, our rates are dictated by our claims. They rate our claims on a 5-year cycle. And we are still at the, in a situation where our last 5 years of claims have been very, as you can imagine, significant.
This used to be like around $250,000. And within the last 5 years, our claims have been over $2 million.
Right.
Let's think about the golf course. Just of that alone is 1.7, and there's been other claims has gone up. So this is the reason why it's gone up. And also, if you look at it, $635,000. That's on the present vehicles and insurance that we have. And there's our resolutions are on the table tonight that we will transfer some of this money into buying new vehicles, which hopefully will bring this cost down. Because when you insure the old vehicles, what happens is there's bigger liability of whatever happens. So hopefully this figure will come down but it's only a 1-year contract, and we'll take a look at it every year.
I will say that we have instituted a safety committee for the last 3 years, here it's the last 4 years actually. And we meet with them on a regular basis and we go over risks that our city is exposed to. We go over accidents, we go over claims that are made, and we try to resolve those situations. And we've been told by the insurance company and by our agent that practice has indeed made a difference, right, Louise? I don't know when we're going to start seeing that difference in dollars and cents, but they are telling us we're doing everything the right way. But the problem is those claims have been high. So that's where we are.
Thank you. Any questions on that? Thank you.
Okay. And the next one is yours as well, Alderman Marcelo.
Okay, this one, resolution authorizing contract with Turl National. Turl National is the software that supports all the sprinkler system that we use in the golf course. And this is a contract that's for $6,900. And what it does, it kind of has an idea of what the irrigation system is on the golf course, how much water to use, when to use it, and how much are we using. So this is a renewal. They've been using this for years. That's just a renewal of the contract.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Next one is also yours.
Okay, thank you, sorry. This is a grant from Urban Housing Development, and it's along East Main Street on the south side. It's amount of $650,000. And I'm gonna let Michael discuss this one.
Yeah, so the Esperanza Verde Park, what this represents is essentially all the concrete work necessary for the park, which is going to include a splash pad and playground. There's not concrete under the playground, but it's around the playground. We have a permanent surface. We went to bid. We had one bid. Miller Excavating and Landscaping, they have done several other projects for the city in the past, to include the splash pad at Betts Field.
I apologize. This is the splash pad down the east end.
In the Esperanza Verde.
I said it on the south side, I'm sorry.
This is, okay,
This is splash pad on the east end.
that's for the Esperanza Verde Park
Yes.
on the east end, which also includes.
Which includes the
splash
splash
pad.
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
So I recommend that we award.
Like bid A, bid B. Bid A, bid B. What is the?
All I did was divide it into areas, not knowing how they were really gonna bid the project. And to
But
give
that's
us
not
options.
splash pad and everything else, is it?
Well, it's the area around the splash pad and the playground, and the one was area A. That's why it's smaller, because there's some cutouts in there. And then area B was to the west, on the western side of that, where there's a proposed bandstand and so on. I just broke it into two areas
Okay.
and had them bid them separately.
Well, I just want to make clear that Dr. Rao did donate to Ibero $40,000 to build that splash pad. Part of this concrete is going to be going towards that splash pad. Ibero will reimburse us for the amount of concrete used for the splash pad. But all the other concrete is on us as part of the Ibero project, as part of the Esperanza Verde project.
Just so you know, this is the park on East Main Street between Eagle Street and Klein Street.
That's correct.
Right next to where the old JDR Lounge used to be.
That's correct. Yeah, it's going to be a very nice. It's going to be a very nice open space on the east end. The splash pad's going to be a fantastic addition. I think if we had it down there today, how heavily it would have been used. But there's going to be a performance area. There's going to be a games area where people can sit and play dominoes and things and chess and checkers. And there's going to be a playground. So it's going to be a really nice little park, green space on Main Street, which we're looking forward to very much. Been in the workings for several years now. Okay.
Very exciting. All right, the next one, resolution authorizing transferring funds for codes vehicles, Alderman Collins and Chief Agresta.
Codes Department currently has two vehicles they're operating. One is 13 years old and the other's over 10 years old. That's the newest they have in their fleet. The other vehicles that were closed vehicles are all over 12 years old. We need to do something to shore up that department for the next few years, and with this transfer, I think we're gonna be able to find a way to get a couple vehicles in at a really good price, and they'll actually have warranty.
Are we gonna keep the other vehicles?
Depending on what the city needs as a whole, you know, if there's other departments that are looking for a vehicle that gets them around, they don't really work for highway traffic. But if there's something that someone needs to get from point A to point B in the city all the time, then absolutely. Whatever works out best for the city, if it's transferring to another department or selling them at auction. Yeah, you're welcome.
That's good. Okay. The next resolution, 243, modifying Medicare Part B. We are gonna skip this one, correct? Because this is gonna get withdrawn?
This is the one that's gonna be withdrawn.
Yep.
So making a motion to withdraw.
We'll do that in the meeting.
I wonder if, when it comes to the three Medicare Part B pieces of legislation we have, if the council would consider moving by unanimous consent to effectuate, well, once the meeting starts,
Okay.
to effectuate what we've talked about doing. That way, if no one objects, if we move by unanimous consent, and then ask for any objection and nobody objects, then it could just be done. It'll all be done that way if you all agree to do it that way. Rather than doing the three separate mechanical motions.
It will be all
by unanimous.
passed or it will be replaced?
No, just replace down the agenda.
Replace and then voted on
Yeah,
after that.
you still have to vote on a piece of legislation. But you'd be moving by unanimous consent to let the old business die on the table, to withdraw the Irene-sponsored resolution that's on the agenda, and to have the consent resolution added to the agenda. And you do that by unanimous consent, if no one objects, do that at the top of the
At the
meeting.
beginning.
That Medicare Part B slating of the legislation event. Okay? Fair?
So we'll make the motion to accept the agenda, or no, we would make this first,
Do it before you make the motion
motion
to
to
adopt
accept the agenda.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Yeah, because otherwise.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my best suggestion of how to get to where you want to get.
Sure. And make it easiest on Stephanie and her note taking. Okay. So with that, does this become 243?
No.
This remains 248?
Yes.
So we still are gonna deal with it at the end, okay? Just wanna make sure I'm in the right order.
Why can't you say at this time, I'd like to withdraw the resolution?
Well, we're in the cow right now, so we can't do any of that.
You can withdraw it. 'Cause we haven't voted on the resolution.
It would just be cleaner.
All right, okay, whatever you want.
Be clean.
Thank you. All right, the next one, resolution authorizing budget transfer for backhoe, Alderman Marcello.
Thank you. We discussed this during the budget. And at the last budget meeting, we discussed with all the department heads that whatever meeting they have now, whatever they need, they should desire it. If they desire something, they should spend their money right now rather than get into the July 1 budget. So I talked to Phil, and Phil come up with that we need a backhoe available through the New York State contract. I talked to Mike Clark about this, and he thinks it'd be a great idea right now that we take money from the water fund and we buy a brand new backhoe for the water fund. Because we're always digging in the streets.
That if there were contingency funds, and that's what, we still had,
Something we all agreed upon, we talked about it during our budget sessions. Okay?
and it will save us money in the long run.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next one, we got another one?
Another one.
You've been busy, sir.
Yeah, okay, well, this is the part once again.
Same
We are
situation.
purchasing a vehicle through New York State Office of General Services, through the water fund contingency once again. We are gonna buy an SUV and a pickup truck. And once again, when Randy's here, Randy, you can discuss this while you're here, go ahead.
So what we were doing here, initially we were talking about the regular, replace our regular pickup truck and the Trailblazer. Trailblazer is 15 years old and it's hard to keep it out of the shop. And the pickup truck, they're so far out trying to find what is actually what we need. Everything is really kind of decked out and we don't need. So the other vehicle replaces 17-year-old vehicle that's not roadworthy at our watershed, which is actually a small dump truck. A pickup truck body with a small dump on it. They have their one vehicle up there, it's 2007. It's not roadworthy right now.
Yeah. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Next one.
Next one. That's you too, the recreation budget.
Okay, talk to Rob about this one. They received $61,000. Okay, and I think, if you read, it says recreation activity revenue, which was originally budgeted in one revenue line, but was subsequently broken onto the 3 sub-accounts to improve record keeping, as per Irene. So then what we did is Louise. So the controller authorized wants to amend this, and this way it's broken down, right, Louise? So you can see where all the money goes, and this way, it's a good idea of bookkeeping. So we know where the money is spent and where it goes. As per Louise.
Like it.
Okay? Thank you.
All right, the next one regarding the audit.
A couple of changes that have to be made, but otherwise it's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next would then be the consent resolutions, I believe, right? Prior to the ordinance. So we would have 248, resolution modifying Medicare Part B contribution pursuant to Amsterdam City Code, Alderwoman Collins.
Okay, so this is, we are going to keep $66.60 per month. The only change we're making is that it becomes ineligible for employees hired after June 30th, 2024.
So all current employees and retirees will have this, and then anybody hired after this fiscal year. Any comments on that? Does it seem like a good compromise?
All good.
All good? Okay. All right, figured it out. All right, next one, fire department vehicle, Alderwoman Collins.
While searching for the codes vehicles, I informed you guys in the budget session that the fire department, we only have 4 fire trucks, 2 ambulances, and 2 emergency response vehicles, a Dodge Durango and a pickup truck. That all have lights. I have employees going in both directions for the majority of the year, at least 10 months out of the year. I have ones going to paramedic school down in Hudson Valley and Troy, and I have ones going to Utica as a fire academy. I don't have any vehicles to get it, and those numbers are increasing. The vehicle that they're currently using to go out to the academy with 2 of them is a Ford Escort that won't fit the 4 that I need to go in August, or the 5 that need to go to paramedic school down to Troy. And that's a daily occurrence. So we need a non-emergency vehicle that can fit at least 5+ people, and they have a vehicle that's available that is a 6-passenger that'll give them some storage space too for their gear. And like Alderman said, try to get it out of this budget instead of kicking the can down the road the next one.
Sounds good. Any questions? All right. The next one is an ordinance that I introduced regarding Northampton and Van Dyke. I've gotten a lot of feedback from constituents concerned with that street, the neighbors concerned with speed. I took a survey of a few of them, and or I sent everybody a letter, and I got some feedback from people, and they had various suggestions. This is one of them, and I thought this was one that we could consider. Certainly would like the chief's feedback on that, and I know that there's some concern and some explanation. So happy to discuss that now and see if this is something the council wants to pursue or not.
Well, I'd like to say that this is in violation of our charter for you to introduce an ordinance, based upon the topic that should come from the chief and not the common council. So it's not a legal maneuver. I do think we need to have a discussion. I think the chief is prepared to discuss all the issues that we've talked about. But I think the introduction of an ordinance is not according to our charter. So I'm going to ask the council if they would vote on withdrawing this as a resolution. Let's go forward with the discussion. And if you feel that an ordinance is needed, that we talk to the chief and direct the chief to do so.
I would say that this is kind of overlapped in the charter. We do have all legislative powers. It does say, except otherwise provided, which I do understand could mean that, but I don't know that it specifically precludes us from doing that. The police chief can establish and implement this, and give recommendations to the council. So I don't see it as being illegal. I do see that they're like our charter in many ways, it's a little murky. And if there's some next steps that, I don't see any ramifications in the charter for what would happen should somebody propose something that they are supposedly precluded from, other than, being voted down or being vetoed, which I'm fairly comfortable with.
We have a corporation council who issued a ruling on that basically said it does not comply with our charter. So, that's what he's here for, and that's what he issued. We also have a police chief who, for the respect of his position, that we do follow the charter according to his authority. And I think that this would fly in the face of both those things. So again, I'm going to request that the council consider withdrawing this as a motion. We go on with the discussion, and at the end of that discussion, if you feel there's a need for an ordinance, that we take the proper action to do that.
Can I try to clean some of this up, please?
You can do whatever you like.
All right, thank you. So the city charter expressly provides the authority to the police chief to implement the traffic safety measures and to make recommendations. The charter expressly provides qualifications that one must possess in order to be a police chief. So as I set forth in my unofficial or informal email memorandum to the council, if this is something the police chief agrees to from a public safety point of view, then this ordinance would be completely fine. But the police chief does not endorse it, and I'm sure it's going to be heard in a moment, but I in fact believe that the police chief believes that this four-way stop sign would pose a safety risk at this particular intersection. So moving forward with this ordinance without the consent of the chief and with an objection of the chief regarding the public safety measure or aspect of it, I would say is a direct violation of our charter. To the sponsor of the ordinance, I would recommend and request that the ordinance be withdrawn. To the remainder of the council, should it be the case that Alderman Kustamar is not willing to withdraw it, then I would recommend that a motion be made to kill the introduction. Now, obviously, that comes with a little bit more friction, and it seems that there's ways of moving forward without friction and also addressing the issue at this intersection. But moving forward with this piece of legislation under these circumstances, in my view, is a non-starter. It should either be withdrawn or killed by motion. Thank you.
At this time, for the record and for the minutes of the meeting, I'd like to hear what the chief has to say about this.
Well, first of all, I was surprised that this got put on the agenda without consulting me in any way, shape, or form. There's several things to be considered when we change any type of traffic situation in the city. We look at crash data, we use a radar sign to get speed enforcement. We look at different grades, especially for Northampton Road, with it being on a hill, and the safety concern in the wintertime with vehicles getting stuck on it. That's been a concern in various hills throughout the city in the past. And all these things would have been discussed with Alderman Quistamars if she would have reached out in advance and spoke with me about it. So I have a problem with this just getting put on the agenda without discussing with me first. And I've met with several aldermen and alderwomen in the past regarding concerns from constituents and have always helped come up with solutions. But there's always something that needs to be considered. We just can't do this because a constituent says, this is what I want. And that's my concern.
Chief, is there anything that you would suggest in this case?
Again, we're looking at the crash data. I'd like to hear why this was proposed rather than just they want that, because the crash data doesn't suggest that. There's a need for it. There's also a technology grant that the city was recently awarded, and we're going to install several radar signs throughout the city. And I think that would help if the mayor wants to put that on Northampton Road. So there's other things we can do. Enforcement details again. We do that periodically throughout different districts. And we've done it on Northampton Road every year. So there's conversations to be had about it rather than just putting this on the agenda and trying to do it without involvement of myself.
Yeah, and I do want to say, Rich, that we did apply for the grant that was going to be used to buy these solar-powered radar signs last fall, Chief.
Correct.
And then we were told that we would have an answer in December. And then we were told we were going to have an answer in January. And then in January, they told us that they had so many requests for money that it was going to take them longer, but to be patient, et cetera, right?
Right.
And we finally heard about it, probably March.
Right.
And when we finally heard about it in March, we had to go back and actually reprice everything, but we're about ready to roll. And the key was that we are going to get probably 8 of these things, and we're going to be talking about where best strategically to put them. But southbound Northampton was always one of the key areas that we were focusing on. So I don't want to think that nothing was being done, because you had traffic patrols up there, you had speed patrols going on up there. We were measuring, engaging, and you were talking to neighbors. We're trying to, so I don't want to think that nothing was being done in here. So once we get once we buy this technology and put it on Northampton, I think it's going to be a much better answer than what's being proposed in this ordinance.
When I first came on the council, there were certain parts of town that I was continually told people were concerned about. I wrote a letter and sent it out to everyone on Northampton. I gave a copy to the chief, and our conversation that day did not lead me to believe that he was open to discussing it further with me. It's been over a year since that happened. People have told me they are disappointed that nothing has been done and that I have not taken any further action on it. And I just haven't been informed or in the loop. I've been told that if I want to bring something up in the council meeting, I should do that I will not always be included in behind the scenes things. And so that is what I did with this. And again, we're welcome to, if the presentation is that it's dangerous, then that is for everyone to decide. I'd like to point out, we're talking about coming off of Route 30 down into a neighborhood. The other 2 locations where you come off of Route 30 into Van Dyke, there is a stop sign at Lindbergh and at Coolidge that stop traffic coming from Route 30 from zooming into that neighborhood. This is a 1.07 mile downhill slope that has no slowing down features until you get to the bottom of the hill. That is a concern. People don't let their children play in their yards. They have damage to their front areas. They are very concerned about it. I gathered their concerns. This is what I pulled from it. I did make people aware that I was asking for concerns. And this is that choice of action I took. And this is, everybody has the ability to make a decision based on that. But I would argue that there are stop signs all throughout that area, and I don't understand why the people who live on that street can't have something that slows it down. I'd argue that the hill coming down from Van Dyke gets steeper and has a stop sign. And if we're talking about snow and other issues, I mean, there's stop signs everywhere. And I don't see them as being so egregiously dangerous. It's not a blind turn. There's plenty of time from Route 30 to that stop sign to know that a stop sign is coming. And I think adjustments could be made. So I proposed it this way. Do what you like with it.
I think you did everything correctly, Kelly. The only thing you didn't do was come to me or to the chief with that information beforehand and discuss it. And we could have talked about it, and we could have, proposed and informed you. Any questions you asked, I would have been pleased to answer. I'm not arguing at all about what you've done to gather this information. I think it's a great thing. I think it's just the resolution that is not being done the right way. I think we can address those concerns. I think we will address those concerns. I think the chief is definitely, the person to address those concerns with not just you, but with the residents of Northampton. And I just say this is the wrong way to do it.
Well, then I would also respectfully suggest that, the corporation council review the agendas before they go out. Then if this could have been, it went out the way it was.
Everything that's presented to me. No one consulted with me about this beforehand whatsoever. So, I'm sorry.
I followed the process of sending it to the clerk at the deadline.
You have no unanswered phone calls from me or unanswered emails from me. I'm at your service as I am for everybody else. You could have consulted with me for whatever reason you decided not to. Look, power vests with the chief, and it appears that this piece of legislation is saying, I understand what you're saying, chief. I understand the power vests with you under the charter, but we're just going to do it anyways because we're just going to do what we want to do. And I would respectfully submit that is bad governing. Thank you.
Would anyone like to make a resolution to withdraw this?
Mayor,
It would be a motion to kill.
Mayor, with all due respect, this is an ordinance. It's on the table for introduction purposes only. There's no vote here. Am I right, clerk?
Well, look.
Wait, Mayor. And this is for introduction.
Right.
The sponsor can withdraw.
Right.
That's all.
I would argue to you guys, to you all, that there are three outcomes. One outcome is that the sponsor could withdraw the piece of legislation. Another outcome is that another member of the council could make a motion to kill the introduction. Another outcome is that you would move forward with this illegal ordinance and schedule a public hearing. I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's a fourth possible outcome. I don't think there is. So I think it's one of those three, folks.
Okay, no one wants to do anything.
Who wants to start the meeting first before you do anything? And then I suppose we're going to bear witness to what happens.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alderwoman Christmas,
Here.
Alderman Holliday,
Here.
Alderwoman Collins, Alderman Carpenter,
Here.
Alderman Marticello.
Here,
Okay, could I have a motion to adopt, well, first of all, before we adopt the agenda,
Do you want to deal with the Medicare legislation issue via
just
unanimous
discuss the
consent? So if I could outline it,
Go ahead.
the council would move by unanimous consent to number one, allow the old business legislation to die on the table, to number two, withdraw resolution number, 243, and to three, move the consent resolution 248 onto the agenda. Via unanimous consent, does anyone object? Then please mark it as motion carried via unanimous consent.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next.
we have no proclamations this evening.
Well, we now have to still adopt our agenda.
The next thing I'd like to do, excuse me, I will make a motion to withdraw my ordinance. I would like to point out that no one has been more strident in good government than me. To sit there and say this bad government disgusts me. No one has been more willing to be a team player than me. And again, I am shut down, I am ignored, and I am dismissed. So yes, I put an ordinance on here to get your attention. Call it illegal, call it out of line, don't care. But don't say that I'm bad at my job and that I'm not a team player. That is what it is. 3 emails in 5 days telling me what I was supposed to do, what I should have done, and if I just did it the way you wanted me to. We all can do things the way we want to do within the guidance. And when I have asked for things to be withdrawn, if I have asked for things to be reconsidered and reconstituted and corrected before we vote on them, you all say no. So did I do this incorrectly? I guess I did. Incorrect resolutions are quarterly at least. And we just vote no because the intention is good. And my intention is apparently bad. I'm not going to settle for that. I will happily withdraw it. I made a mistake. If we put a stop sign up and something happens, it will be all my fault. But I'm not going to be told that it's bad government and that, I'm just not reaching out and I'm not communicating enough. That is ridiculous. I make a motion to withdraw.
Alderwoman Christmas,
Aye.
Alderman Holliday,
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins, Alderman Carpenter, Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda with one consent.
Alderwoman Christmas,
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins. Aye. Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
aye,
There are no proclamations this evening. Communications and presentations, we have Ralph Spagnola here from the Recreation Department to talk about the spring kickoff.
Good evening, everybody. So I don't know if you want to ask questions or you want me just to give a brief overview of things we have going on and how we started.
You did a really good job planning it all out. And kudos to you and Michelle.
Thanks. Just, I don't think I've been here to recap last year, but I think last year was definitely the most successful year we've had in the rec department since I've been here. And I think it's a total team effort between so many people, from the mayor, the council, certainly Michelle, the guys that work in rec, and definitely all our sponsors. I think we made, the most improvements we've ever made to a park in 1 year. I think, the revenue that we took in was, paled in comparison, or it was so much greater than the years past. So I think we're definitely, really hitting our stride. like I said, it's because everybody here and a lot of other people. So, I think we're very fortunate to be on the path that we're on. This year is no different. I think everything we've done so far is, has been well received in the community and by our sponsors, starting with Soup Fest and Wing Fest and St. Patty's Day. I think they've all been wonderful. You see the splash pads back opened, and thankfully so, because the weather is just, crazy for this early in June. So that's mobbed every day, pretty much. And it is right now as drove by coming here. We have other improvements planned that we've been working on with the mayor, Saoirse Park, a little bit more at Shuttleworth, and just general cleanup we still have to do in the rest of the parks. Vegetation, we're going really strong. The weather is cooperating with, not that much rain recently, where we're really hitting 3 and 4 properties every day throughout the city. Codes has been supplying us with just an abundant amount of properties to do. As we all know, there are, so many to do. And we've been concentrating on areas, and I know Alderman Marticello has mentioned it a few times to me, about when you come in East Main Street, what a difference it makes to have whatever it was, the 5 properties or so done at one clip, rather than them being, spread out and doing one every so often. I think I left everybody in the mailbox. Our events are pretty much the same as they've always been, with our map and guide and our event package that we send out to 1,500 businesses and vendors in the beginning of the year. We have more sponsorships than last year again. So I think we're on a good path for the remainder of our calendar year and then next year's budget year. And it's a little different with us because we go by calendar year. Calendar year 2024 is how we track our events. But we also know, obviously budget year starts in a couple of weeks.
Rob, I'd like to thank you for the vegetation crew you had, the job you're doing. I have a lot of complaints here. I think Alderman Carpenter and I discussed, our roads are loaded with all over the place. And we want to thank you very much for vegetation.
It's the kids and the foremen, and it's just impossible to keep up, as we've talked about many, many times. It's not possible to do and stay on top of the properties. There's just way too many. But when we get them, we do what codes writes up for us, and we're probably we probably have 10 that they've written up for us that we're getting to all the time.
Do you do the city, like the intersections or the corners
We do,
as well?
We do some, like we do the State Island right out here with all the trees in the center. We've done that one for some time. We do Coolidge and Pershing, we do McGibbon, we do 5 Corners.
Well, I was just thinking, like, recently I've requested at like Lion Street and then also Hobart and Van Dyke, or Northampton, and they've been done like instantly.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate that because it helps people see better
Van
when they're
Dyke,
driving.
where?
Not Van Dyke, not Northampton and Hobart.
Yes,
Yeah, and you guys did that right away, so I really appreciate that. So people could see, yeah.
So yeah, we do some of those, but some we do on like McGibbon, Coolidge and Pershing, 5 Corners. We do those on a regular basis, probably once every 10 days. They're on our, I don't know how they ended up on our cut list, but they've always been. And the ones I understand, Coolidge and Pershing and McGibbon, the little traffic island on Northampton, the one on Locust and Clisby. So yeah, there's some that we do regularly.
Rob, talk a little bit about Veterans Field with the pool house, et cetera.
So the grant, and I think we talked about this last time, the pool house, we'll have $160,000 in place to move the pool house to the front on Locust Avenue, because it's really inconvenient for people to walk all the way around the back, especially those with special needs and wheelchairs. The plan is to have a concession stand in there, which Sticker Mule donated $50,000 for. There'll be outdoor bathrooms and pool bathrooms. So the park will have bathrooms.
You don't mean outdoor bathrooms?
Yeah. That would be available for people in the park. Yes, there will not be a hole in the ground. They have to pull a curtain and go in. And the one thing, that I will mention, that we are gonna look for money for, and I haven't even mentioned this to Mayor, because it came up last night in the Trail Town meeting, and I don't know if anybody mentioned it, is we need locks, like Wi-Fi locks on our bathroom doors. And they were particularly interested in the south side bathrooms, because as bicyclists come through, there's no restrooms available on a regular basis.
We lock those up.
We lock them, and we've only been basically
during
using them for
events.
special events, yeah. But all of our bathrooms, and that's half the time when we unfortunately have to call APD because the bathrooms are left open overnight. Tennis players and girls softball don't get over till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and we're not locking the bathrooms at 10 o'clock at night. We don't have anybody on.
So would the Wi-Fi be for you to program, or
Yeah.
could people access it?
No, I think
So you can
I'm not
program
even.
it?
I think like a laundromat kind of a thing where they close and, we set it, okay, 9 o'clock at night, the bathrooms are gonna shut. So they automatically shut and then they unlock at 8 o'clock the next morning. And I think in the long run, it would be a savings.
Yeah.
Because, we don't get a lot of vandalism, I think we're really fortunate, and when we do get some, I think it's really blown out of proportion for the most part. Not that vandalism isn't, we always wanna take it serious, and we appreciate the time that, the police department spends tracking down the people who do it. But I just hate to see when the news comes and they go, something minor, what I would consider for a town our size and for the amount of time that it happens. But it does take time and graffiti remover and stuff like that. So I think that is a good investment. And that was one thing that in the trail meeting last night that they were really interested in us trying to find some funds for.
So I actually participated in the bike ride this morning with 5 other people from Parks and Trail. There was a lot of opportunity that we didn't think about, like when we were discussing it in the meeting. Definitely some areas where some signage would be needed to help promote, like the Montgomery County Information Center, where the hospital is, where, local landmarks are and everything. We have the one sign at the beginning of the trail on Bridge Street, and it's great for the cars going north to south, but there's really nothing for the bikes that go east to west along that trail. So there's a lot of opportunity there because there's 4,000 bikers, believe it or not, that stay at that castle every year. So there's 4,000 bikers. Yes, 4,000 bikers. So that's 4,000 people that could take advantage of some of the amenities that we have in the city. So I couldn't agree more about the bathrooms. But there's certain things, there's little things that we want to look at too, like getting the crosswalks repainted on Bridge Street and the street that goes, you'll forgive me, the street that goes along the side of Herx. Because we have so many things down there that they wear away after a while. But I had every intention of putting together a recap with Parks and Recs, and I'll forward it to everybody to let you know the things that we discussed. But it was very productive, fantastic. We would absolutely like to see some kind of awareness for the information center.
Yeah. I'd like to thank the Chuck Trail for taking the Chuck Ananda organization, trail organization, for taking the lead in that.
Oh, it was fantastic.
They did a fantastic job.
It was great. It was a little hot, but it was great.
One thing I do hear a lot about are garbage cans, though, at the parks. That people do look for a place to throw away garbage. I know that they can be difficult to get cleared out. I think people would volunteer to take out the garbage back to their house, if there was a place to put them. I don't know if that's something that you thought about. I know you thought about it before, but.
We've tried both ways, and there's pails back in all the parks right now.
Okay.
And we've tried it without pails in the past couple of years to take your garbage home by yourself, and neither one seems to really work that well.
Yeah.
And, our schedule is, it's just based on manpower. And we get garbage in every park, every Monday and every Friday. Vets, we have to do pretty much every day because of basketball and splash pad and Shuttleworth as well. We have to clean that regularly because we have to keep the bathrooms clean up there. and girls softball is every night, and there's people playing volleyball and, parties, and obviously, mohawks. It's just the traffic generated, you have to clean the park or it would be a mess.
And I know you mentioned Searchia, and I know that Alderman Collins, you were talking about a fence, and we have plans to put a fence up there. We're gonna use a recycled fence from the bridge. We're gonna give that a shot and see how that works.
I did not get a chance to talk to Mike about that today, but that is, one of the things,
We're gonna knock that wall down
we
as well.
talked about with the mayor, knocking the wall down and getting the fence up.
Anything else from Mr. Spagnola?
Thank you.
Keep up the great work.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you. Call anytime if anybody has any questions or concerns. Everyone knows my number, and I look forward to hearing from everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We are on to the controller's report. Irene?
No.
I'm sorry, we're on to public participation. I'm sorry. I skipped over that. I didn't mean to.
John Archett with 18 Austin Street. Mayor, first of all, I'm glad we've knocked down more dilapidated buildings. That's a good thing. That's one thing. Another thing is, Mayor, once in a while I bring up at the corner of Forest Avenue and Lion Street, commonly known as the Mohasco site. Now we're working on there because we've got a drainage problem. Are we supposed to think that there was a drainage problem 30 years ago or 40 years ago after the two arson fires, which stopped anybody from wanting to buy the land? Is that the reason nobody cared about it? Because all of a sudden now we got a drainage problem, and we didn't get the money to fix the problem 30 years ago or 40 years ago. And then if we did, maybe somebody would have bought it. Then somebody reminded me that Sticker Mule bought part of the land. So I don't know, maybe that's a good reason why we're fixing it up now. But anyway, it's a good thing we're doing that. But like it says, we got 8 or some. Nobody come forward and said, there's a drainage problem. If we correct it, maybe somebody will buy the land because we want somebody to really take care of all 3 acres of the land. That's one thing. Another thing is with the meeting last week or the last common council meeting, we had people from the DPW here, and it seems to me that every year we kind of like look at them, and then we bring up no matter what administration's in office, we say we got to think about the taxpayer. But it seems to me they're getting picked on a lot, and it just shouldn't be. If there's foreclosures in the city, it's not because of them, and they deserve to get some benefits there too, So let's not really single them out every year. But I says that's past administrations did the exact same thing, and I don't think it's really right to do that. One final thing, I don't have to bring up drinking water too much, Mayor, because I've been going to Hegeman, and so far they haven't thrown me out. But they got a well out there, so I've been going over there for drinking water. So it's pretty good like that. So that solves that problem. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public like to speak this time?
Good evening, everybody. I was told I could come here this evening to speak to
You
you
have to
all.
give us your name, please.
Oh,
and
that
your
would help,
address.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Eleanor Smith. Never done this before. The reason that I'm here this evening is I understand that the city is intending to move forward with foreclosure on a number of properties that are delinquent in their property taxes. I happen to be one of those property owners. However, the issue I have been seeking to resolve with my property has been to get the classification as a single family since I became the property owner through a quit claim deed back in June of 2018. I paid all of the taxes through to 2019, 2020, and I was coming here, speaking to people, and I was told repeatedly by assessors and comptrollers and anybody else, we have to keep you on the tax rolls as a single family because you have 2 kitchens. This immediately put me on alert because I know different. So I started searching real property tax law, and I found out that in fact, in the IRC, New York State law, Montgomery County law, Amsterdam City law. There is in fact no such law that allows any municipality, corporation, city, village, town, whatever, to charge double taxes based on this fact. So I took umbrage with the issue. I sought to rectify it further, as I've been doing consistently for all of these years. I was told in response to my queries, you need to file an abatement. An abatement specifically meant I'd have to hire an insured licensed plumber to come in, cap everything off, pay a $50 abatement fee, which would be due recurring every year, as well as pay the inspector, and then voila, I would get my single family zoned as for the tax purposes as I needed it to be. The reason that I needed to be, there are two people who live in the property, two, myself and one other. There is 1 meter. We are not generating the usage of, families that are renting and doing all of this stuff. I repeatedly stated that. Now that that point has been conceded at a meeting that I had, it is now about a wall. I am at the point, I have gotten no resolve in all of these years. I am desperately seeking an agreeable resolve. I've been putting away my money to pay these taxes that are in arrears. I did pay the first years. I took umbrage with this issue. I have an issue with the abatement. So I've been putting money away. However, my roommate acquired stage 4 B mantle cell lymphoma. My boiler blew up and flooded the basement. These are things and many other things that I won't go into because it will take too much time, which necessitated, because of my income, me going into the monies that I had put aside for the taxes, because I kept thinking this is unlawful and unjust. How can they keep on doing this? But they kept kicking the can down the road. Nobody would hear me. And now, if I didn't get this opportunity to speak this evening, my house would go to foreclosure on the 5th. I'd be in the list. Meantime, I have all I'm asking, I'm not even asking to go back and cut them in half to what it should have been originally. I'm just asking for the penalties removed. The amount of the penalties, which this meeting at the Common Council has the authority to do, is $4,206.35. I am asking for this because I am on a very tight, very, very tight fixed income. And I cannot meet my obligations for a payment plan, which under duress, I'm going to be forced to sign to stay out of foreclosure and maintain my taxes current, as well as maintain whatever monies are needed for my house. I'm thankful to Jim, who I've been speaking to. I've also spoken to the mayor, Louise, and other parties, as well as the previous people that were in office at the time, the comptroller, Calvin Klein, everybody. I've been at this for a very long time. Needless to say, it's extremely exhausting, extremely tiresome to try and get a resolve when people are not hearing what to me is logic. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Eleanor, for the council, that's why I asked you.
Yes, sir.
Tell them what you're asking for.
I am asking specifically, well, moving forward, I am again still trying to get the house classified as a single family. That's an ongoing issue. But my imminent issue is that the penalties of $4,267.35 be removed so that I can come down here tomorrow and give a nice down payment and pay, what is it? I think I figured out, I have my notes there, 35% or something of the total tax levy minus the penalties. And then enter a payment agreement, which then is tenable for me. Everything that's been presented in all of my options is not tenable. Hence, under duress, I'd be signing a document which my integrity doesn't allow me to do. Because what I say, I do.
Thank you.
What's the property number? I'm sorry, you didn't give your address.
It's number 7 Elk Street.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask questions. Am I allowed to ask a question or no? Okay. All right, thank you all for your.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, I have this. I put it in writing. I don't know. I read somewhere you're supposed to have it in writing.
You can give it to the clerk.
To her? Okay, excuse me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is David Kumula. I live at 45 Brookside Avenue in Amsterdam. The reason why I'm here is for one specific reason. And I've brought this up before. 2 meetings in a row. Across the street from me, there's a property owned by Angie Johnson. That's her married name.
Dave, we've talked about not using people's names.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Sue me.
Go ahead,
I
David.
feel the same way.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, just leave individuals' names out.
Okay, I'm sorry. This property, I brought up for someone to look at. Codes did that and determined that they did make a decision. Should that property be torn down, or continue to be an eyesore like it is now? There's all kinds of animals running from the back of that property to the front. It's overgrown, and something should be done about it. And I'd like to answer if that codes looked at it and made a decision, and I want to know what that decision is.
Dave, give me the address of that again.
The address is 5254 Brookside Avenue.
Okay, thanks.
Across the street from me. Also, going up Story Street, Chief Agresta said, well, I mentioned that there's overhanging limbs. Chief Agresta said he would contact Niagara Mohawk and they would take care of it. That hasn't been done either. So that's about it.
Okay, thank you, David.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Okay. Now I believe it's controller's report. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I distributed a, kind of a spending summary or budget summary for, dated May 31st. That shows, represents 11 months of budget activity. We're on pace with 4 out of 5 of our funds to end the year with a surplus, which is always a good thing. We do have quite a bit of spending left to occur in the month of June, but you'll see from the summary that we're in pretty good shape. We approach year end, which is right around the corner. Any questions?
Anyone have any questions for the controller? Okay, Mike, do you have an engineering report for us tonight?
As always, Mayor, I do. Thank you. I'll be brief. As John Archette Petrova pointed out, we are working on Line Street. We had mentioned last week, there's a drainage problem. I don't know how long it has existed. We're never gonna have that again when we're done. At least not for the lifetime of the work that we're doing. It's extensive work. If anybody hasn't been there, swing by sometime. It was a major, it's been a major project, major excavation. The interesting thing is that the needs and some of the causes of those needs became more obvious when we excavated the pipe, storm line, and sanitary. Almost every piece of sanitary sewer was crushed, or eggshell at least. It's all clay tile. The 2 or 3 of the sanitary manhole, 2 of them, when we moved the soil around them, just essentially fell apart and collapsed. They're all right adjacent to the old foundation wall of the Haskell building. Certainly water over the dam from years ago, but probably anybody that remembers that building, watched that building being flooded, it probably had something to do with it. That just finally came to a point where no more water was going through any of those pipes. The short version is not only we've done about 300 feet, 280 feet of new 36-inch storm drain, but we replaced more than 100 feet of sanitary sewer and a couple of manholes. It will vastly, wildly improve the situation at the intersection. I don't expect to have these kind of problems again. When it's all said and done, of course, we're going to have to restore the grass on that, but that should be pretty straightforward. Also, in other news, our transmission line clearing project is complete. It's been a very successful, almost seamless project. And I wanted to mention lastly that our water crew a couple of weeks ago installed about 100 feet of new water main ran it into the golf course adjacent to where the new clubhouse is going to be, and towards the old pro shop to provide better long-term service. We've actually provided a service stub and a valve to the excavated site where the new clubhouse is proposed, and that's done, and so there will be more than adequate water for the future, regardless of what the needs might be at that house. So I'll take any questions.
Are there any questions for the engineer? Today we had a phone conference with NIPA. I'm sorry.
I was just thinking of.
Oh, okay. Today we had a phone conference with NIPA, New York Power Authority. They are the agency that is contracting for us with the streetlight program, which has been quiet for a long time, based on National Grid's, I don't want to call it the inability, but the bureaucracy of National Grid to get a public service hearing for our contract to purchase the lights. That has now taken place. We hopefully have the information now that we need so that by the 20th of this month, which is Friday, we will submit to National Grid the paperwork they need to settle to issue a closing date. Once they issue the closing date, which we expect to happen 4 weeks from the time they get our paperwork, we'll get a closing date. All of the parts for the lighting project are now in the city with the exception of a few ornaments. But it sounds as if 3 months after we have our closing, that we'll have new lights in Amsterdam. I just wanted to inform you guys of that. So hopefully that'll happen before the end of this year during the construction season. They're going to do it at the rate of 25 a day. It's going to take them 3 months.
You have an unfortunate update I didn't have a chance to share with you because it just came right before the meeting, that a resolution is required for that surety bond. So there wasn't time to get it on the agenda for today. I mean, it was like 10 minutes before our meeting started. So we may not meet that June 20th deadline. It might be the July 20th date. And we'll have to target. I don't know if there's any way around that.
Why don't we do a special meeting and have it just a consent resolution?
I mean, we could. I mean, we could do a special meeting, and that's not my decision to make, but
What are the deadlines that are at play, Louise? The deadlines that are at play. if I
June
might ask.
20th. We have a checklist from National Grid, the documents that we have to supply to them by June 20th. And there was a lot of confusion surrounding some of the items, so we requested a meeting with NIPA, and it took kind of a while to get that meeting scheduled. It just happened today. So we got a lot of our questions answered. It was a great meeting. But unfortunately, when I reached out to our insurance agent about the surety bond, that's when I found out that it does have to be approved by resolution. So I don't know that that will happen before.
So by July 20th, we'll have our paperwork submitted, and by August 20th, we'll have a closing date. Thank you, Louise.
So do you want to do a special meeting?
I don't think we can. I think the surety bond, the risk, it's going to take a while to prepare that.
Well, I don't think I'm not quite sure how long it will take, but I mean, we have to obviously have to go resolution. I mean, I didn't ask a follow-up question. You know, if we were able to get that taken care of, how much time is needed. I certainly can first thing tomorrow morning, I will.
So why don't we operate, my suggestion,
Yes.
let's operate with a plan to have the resolution on the next agenda. And in the meantime, if Louise, we can finagle a way to have it come together quicker, then we'll try to effectuate that. Okay?
Okay, now we are into old business. We have nothing left there. We've made the motion to get rid of that. And the new business, we'll start with the resolution.
Resolution 2324-237, resolution adopting the minutes of the last common council meeting by Alderwoman Quist Demars.
So moved. Discussion. Call the roll.
Alderwoman Quist Demars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-238, resolution amending budget for opioid settlement by Alderwoman Collins. Whereas the city was awarded $27,916 in opioid settlement funds from the New York State Opioid Settlement Fund, resolution number 2324-10, authorize the transfer of these funds to the county to provide crisis intervention training for several police officers. Whereas the county's cost was only $7,500, so the remainder, $20,416, was transferred back to the city to be used to pay overtime for officers to attend the training and also backfill those vacancies with overtime while officers attended the training.
So moved. For discussion. Call the roll.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quist Demars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-239, resolution to renew NYMER insurance agreement amateur by Alderman Marticello.
So moved. Discussion. Call the roll.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quist Demars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-240, resolution authorizing contract with Toro National Support Network with regard to software support at Amsterdam Municipal Golf Course by Alderman Marticello.
So moved. Read the first whereas.
Whereas the city is desirous to renew its agreement with Toro National Support Network for a 3-year term with regard to software support at the Amsterdam Municipal Golf Course pertaining to the irrigation system central control system.
Thank you. Discussion. Call the roll.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quist Demars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-241, resolution to award concrete flat work for Esperanza Verde Park by Alderman Marticello.
So moved. Read the therefore clause in Miller Excavating Landscape.
Now therefore be it resolved that the common council awards a contract for the specified concrete work of Esperanza Verde Park construction to Miller Excavating Landscape for a total of $178,000.
Thank you. So moved. In discussion. Call the roll.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quist Demars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-242, resolution authorizing transferring funds for codes vehicles by Alderwoman Collins. Whereas the amount budgeted for salaries in the codes department is substantially more than the actual expended amount due to codes compliance officer vacancy in the department that has not been filled. Whereas the vehicles used by code enforcement officers are aging and in need of replacement, now therefore be it resolved, the controller is authorized to transfer funds from the 23-24 fiscal year budget as follows.
So moved. For discussion. Call the roll.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quist Demars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-244, resolution authorizing budget transfer, backhoe by Alderman Marticello. Whereas the city is desirous to purchase a new backhoe for the water department to replace an aging backhoe that has outlived its useful life and requires significant repairs and maintenance.
So moved. Discussion. Call the roll.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quist Demars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
And Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Resolution 2324-245, resolution authorizing budget transfer, water fund, fleet vehicles by Alderman Marticello. Whereas the city is desirous to purchase a new SUV and pickup truck for the water plant in Glen Wild to replace the current vehicles that are both over 15 years old.
So moved. Discussion. Call the roll.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quist Demars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Resolution 23-24-246, resolution authorizing budget amendment, recreation by Alderman Marticello.
Please read the first two whereas clauses.
Whereas the city received $61,192 in unanticipated recreation revenue, and whereas recreation costs were incurred that exceeded the amount budgeted in the contractual expense line.
So moved. Discussion, please. Call the roll.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderman Christopher.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Alderman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Resolution 23-24-247, resolution approving the audit by Alderwoman Collins. Excuse me. Resolved. Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quistinars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Thank you, Mary.
Resolution 23-24-248, resolution modifying Medicare Part B contributions pursuant to Amsterdam City Code Section 40-4B by Alderwoman Collins. Whereas pursuant to the Amsterdam City Code Section 40-4B, all eligible retirees will maintain Medicare Part B insurance as soon eligible for all covered individuals. The cost of this shall be reimbursed or credited by the city in the amount previously set by resolution. Whereas the reimbursement rate amount having been last adjusted by way of resolution 0405-239 passed on May 17, 2005 to a capped rate of $66.60 per month effective July 1, 2005. Whereas the city is desirous by way of this resolution to continue the existing reimbursement status for current employees and retirees to further than sunset this reimbursement policy and rendering the same ineligible for employees hired after June 30th, 2024. Be it hereby resolved that the Medicare Part B reimbursements are modified as allowed by Section 40-4B of the Amsterdam City Code to provide that all current retirees and employees that the Medicare Part B reimbursement capped at $66.60 per month, and that there shall be no Medicare Part B reimbursement upon retirement for any employee hired after June 30th, 2024.
So moved. Open for discussion. Call the roll.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quistinars.
Aye.
Alderman Holliday.
Aye.
Resolution 23-24-249, consent resolution transferring funds fire department vehicle by Alderwoman Collins. Whereas the revenue received from the fire department services line was more than what was budgeted due to personnel who left the department and were required to pay back a portion of their training costs. Whereas the fire department is in need of non-emergency vehicles due to ongoing travel required for training at the fire academy and paramedic school. Resolved, the controller is authorized to transfer funds from the 23-24 fiscal year budget as follows. $13,500 from fire protection services to equipment.
So moved. Open for discussion. Call the roll.
Alderwoman Collins.
Aye.
Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Marticello.
Aye.
Alderwoman Quistinars.
Aye.
And Alderman Holliday.
That's it. This time, Chief Thomas, if council would like to discuss with Chief Thomas anything about the Northampton traffic situation, we can do that.
Yeah, is there a spot that you would recommend there being a stop sign? Because correct me if I'm wrong, they come off of 30 and there's nothing for I believe Kelly said 1.07 miles. Is there anything that could maybe slow them down a little bit? I do understand the concern she has.
Well, first of all, stop signs aren't meant to slow down the traffic.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If that was the case, they'd put one at every entrance to the city, east end of the city. They're coming in from 55 miles an hour down to 30. I mean, think of how silly that sounds, putting a stop sign right at the entrance to the city just to slow down traffic. You have to consider elevation. You have to consider the fact that Northampton Road is on a hill, just like Lion Street. We had a traffic light at the top there, but when people would come up Lion Street in the winter
I
time,
live there, man. It's a struggle, yeah.
you can't move. So that's the reason why we changed that light to allow traffic to go up. And again, we don't want traffic sliding through that intersection and causing an accident. We look at different things. We look at crash data. We look at, the speed. We look at all those things. And I think this is stemming, and again, I haven't had a conversation with her, but I think this is stemming from an accident that happened 2 years ago when a suspect in a crime thought he was fleeing from the police, and he ended up going down Northampton Road at a high speed, which caused a fatal accident 2 years ago. That being said, that is not the norm. That doesn't happen all the time. And people are concerned after that because of speed on Northampton Road. But that was an isolated incident that it wouldn't have mattered if there was a stop sign there or not. That person would have went through it and probably hit somebody coming across Van Dyke because they would have thought he had to stop. That's what we don't want to cause. We don't want to just suddenly put up a stop sign and have more accidents because of it, especially with the winter months we have, especially on the hills. So again, I think, like the mayor suggested, putting up that radar sign that will also collect data, that's also something we consider when we want to suggest any changes. We collected that. It gives, I spoke with you, I spoke with all the local accountants, I spoke with Chris about different speed areas in their zone with that radar sign. It collects data and we can evaluate what needs to be done. And I think all those things need to be considered before just making a decision because a resident wants a stop sign in front of their house. You just can't, that doesn't make any sense. And that doesn't, it's not for the best interest of public safety. I've spoken with other people that lived on Northampton Road about this and they're dead set against putting stop signs on Northampton Road. So.
Thank you.
Let's make a motion to adjourn.
Alderwoman West. Alderman Holly.
Aye.
Alderwoman Collins. Aye. Alderman Carpenter.
Aye.
Alderman Martell.
Good, Chief.
Sure.